I'm going to take you to.
Boom. What's up, everybody? This is a mortgage coach first. I have never interviewed someone live from Greece. Welcome, Sofia Travayiakis. What's up, Sofia?
Hello. How are you guys?
We are awesome. So mortgage coach community, this is the third time I've interviewed Sofia on Zoom. A year ago, I did the first interview where I found you killing it with mortgage coach in Boston for like 25 minutes. And I'm like, that was so amazing. We need to do a top producer interview. And here we are a year later. And I feel like we got to keep the story going.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and always willing to help. I love watching all the other top producers that you interview, Dave. So it's really my honor to be on.
Well, I can't wait to unpack where you've gone, where you are. Before I guess I formally start that interview, we've got Todd Bookspan, my wingman, Mr. Win by Noon, as the co-host. What's up, Todd?
Not much. I'm just, I'm so excited and so impressed, right? Here, I'm looking forward to hearing Sofia unpack how she's going to spend a couple weeks unplugged, and just so grateful that you took the time to join us live from I'm sure I know it's a beautiful place. You said you might show the beach to us. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
I am. I'm going to show you the beach.
All right. So guys, rub it in. I'm in Portland, Oregon, working out of my home office. Where are you coming to us live? Anybody else in Greece right now? And Sofia, show us the beach real quick.
All right. So I'm in Crete, which is my home island. My father is from Crete. And so we own a house here. And this is actually a hotel that's across the street from my house. I came for better Wi-Fi, actually, because the Wi-Fi can be spotty.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm going to take you to see the ocean.
Make sure you guys put this in speaker mode if you're watching it, so you can see Sofia on the big screen. And oh yeah,
and the sunset, which you can't see.
Love it.
It is.
Love it.
So,
well,
I was there earlier today.
Very, very cool.
And my 3 kids love it. That's where they want to be here. They want to be here all summer, but we can only do 3 weeks.
Right on, right on. So guys, this first half of the interview is going to be a combination of team leadership, what she's done with her team. We're also going to talk about just life balance. Sofia is a mother of 3, and she runs a real high performing team. So last year, her team did over 120 million in production. This year, with a trillion less in refis, the team is on track to do another 120 million. So very high performing team. Also, the way she is so successful, she is a mortgage coach. Her team has done 2,575 TCAs as of last week. And they are absolutely in the TCA a day club. She's currently running 35 total cost analysis. She's also a win by nooner. So Todd, let's make sure we pull out in this first half of the call, like, how is Sofia using win by noon? But Sofia, anyone who didn't see the first interview, I want to make sure we bring them up to speed on your team, your volume. You're in Boston. We will also put a link to that first interview. So if you're like, oh, I love Sofia and I want to learn everything I can from her, you'll have this full hour interview, and then we'll put links down below to the other 2 interviews we did. So Sofia, for new people, either in the business or new to, they didn't watch those interviews a year ago, tell us a little bit about your mortgage practice.
Yeah, I am in Boston. I have been doing mortgages for a while, since 1997. I started in Salt Lake City, Utah, and moved to Boston in 2004 and kind of had to start over. So had to really build from ground up here. So I've been in Boston now a while, almost 20 years, and have built an all-girl team. So actually we're all women on my team right now, and still kept it that way, and managed to hire 2 new people this year, which is great. One is support an additional processor, and the other one is an additional, we call them LOAs, which is a loan officer assistant. So I'm the loan officer and have, pretty much everybody under me, but I'm really talk to every client. Even though I have my team, I'm still at some point speaking to every customer. We ended up doing 135 million last year. So I'm hoping we can get there. I'm on track for about 120 to 125. So I hope we can reach that level again. And I think we have, and most of that, I would say 60% of that is all purchase business. Even though it was a refi market, I still do a lot of purchase business, more than anything.
Yeah. And Harrison just asked, how many deals per year is that, to do that kind of volume? How many
That's
families?
about 230, around there, 230.
Got it. And where are you at?
The average loan amount.
And what are you doing right now? Like, how many loans are you closing last month, this month? What's the typical number of units?
Last month was actually the largest number in 1 month that I've closed. I closed 31 loans in 1 month. So that's the most I've ever closed actually in 1 month. So typically it's 10 to 15 on average. The last month was pretty big. Since January has been pretty big, but on average, I would say about 15.
Congratulations. So very, very cool. So remember, guys, if you do have questions, put them down below. Harrison just said, awesome, crazy that you're able to still talk to all those clients. So, all right. And remember, guys, mother of 3. Are you a branch manager? Do you also manage other loan officers?
Kind of, yes. So I have my own location technically, so I have to be the branch manager. We call them loan officer assistants, which technically are other LOs under me that are now starting to produce a little bit of their own business. So on my team, I really have felt a lot of younger. I think I'd still consider myself a little bit young, even though I have 3 kids. We're hiring a lot of people under me that are younger and want to start building a business as well. So they are licensed loan officers. We call them loan officer assistants right now. But yes, eventually I think they're going to be building their own business. And so that's where the goal is for me, is to, manage more people under me and also be able to train them the way that I've done my business. And that's what I call taking it to the next level and trying, after doing it 20 years, training people under me that can mirror how I do the business and build it together and manage them. And I try to teach them. I think I told you I hired a new person, Dave, just recently that just worked at a bank. She was a teller. And the first thing I trained her on was mortgage coach. Because I think it's important to learn everything all at once, learn the mortgage coach, learn products first, and then really learn how to sell as well after that.
Gosh, well, let's unpack the mortgage coach piece in the second half of this call. I'm going to ask one more question, then Todd, jump in with either 1, your impressions, and 2, the next question. But I want to unpack like the systems that run your business. So that could be technology, and clearly like mention mortgage coach where it fits into your process. And then I also know you use Win by Noon. So, I mean, you have a planner and a structure. So when I say systems, technology, and processes that run your business, what comes to mind?
I mean, I can tell you, to be able to get to that next level, I could do, 5 to 10 a month on my own without, let's say, maybe some sort of a system. Once I was able to integrate all the systems, like the home bots, just some of the turnkey processes, it really helps you to get to the next level. And second is to have a team, obviously, that you trust. I have my assistant that I've had right under me that's a licensed loan officer, has been with me for 6 years. And I'll never forget around that 1.5 year mark when she sent an email to a client and said exactly what I would have said. So making sure that you put all the systems in place, I think will help you get to the next level. So yes, I use Win by Noon, have it here with me in Greece, Win by Noon, Mortgage Network. I do kind of make my own notes and mark it up the way I'd like, but I do use it. It's very helpful to keep me organized, help my team get organized, or me to be able to delegate using the Win by Noon. Okay, this is what I need done first, second, and third. That's what really helps me delegate. I use on every pre-qualification that I do, that I send out to every client. We do have an online app, which is necessary. There's no way I could take phone apps. So you have to have an online system where people can pull their own credit. So that's from the beginning. They're using online technology. Then right after that, and not here at Mortgage Network, we can actually click a button and it goes right to Mortgage Coach once they've applied online. can do a mortgage coach immediately to let them know maybe different programs they're pre-qualified for, what they're approved. So when I send them an actual pre-qual letter, they get a mortgage coach with it, every single person.
Love that. What CRM are you using?
It's actually our own proprietary. Mortgage Network has their own LOS system.
Got it. No, but CRM, sales and, like.
Oh,
Okay.
CRM, excuse me, Surefire.
Okay, Surefire,
Yeah.
which, by the way, guys, want to remind everybody, we integrate with all of those technologies. Also want to remind anybody that works for a company that has proprietary technology, we integrate with that. So if you're a loan officer, tell your manager, we got to integrate with a mortgage coach, and reach out to me. And if you're executive and you want an overview, reach out to me, Dave at Mortgage Coach. So Todd, any takeaways so far? Any questions you have for Sophia?
Well, you asked me for my impressions. I'm just super impressed. I think anyone who can build a team and build processes so that you can unplug for a couple of weeks, that in itself, is exactly why you need to be here and doing what you're doing in our community. So, high five to you from afar. I think that was just awesome that you've done that over your career, especially being a mom of 3 kids, having 3 daughters myself. I totally understand and know the pressure that the mom is under that as well. And of course, I love that you plug Win by Noon and that you use it just how you use it. I feel like everyone has to use it their own way. There's no perfect or right way to do it. People all the time are like at a conference, they want to sit down next to me and look at my plan or see how I do it. And I'm like, I do it totally different than you do it. It's a compass to do all of that. So, when it comes to your team, I mean, there's some people here asking about, hiring an LOA and that kind of thing. What do you recommend as the first hire to someone when they're building their team, and when should they do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that originally my very first, loan officer assistant was a processor that wanted to really move to the sales side, which really was nice because they had some knowledge. And it was more of a training on the sales side. But I think right when you hit right where that target I said, more than like 5-10 loans a month, to be able to really get to that next level, you need to have some sort of sales support and some help to get you through that level, and just trusting them. It's hard. I'm type A too, and I want to talk to every client. I just told you I do, and I do at some point. And I even think for me to get even higher numbers, I will have to maybe trust my team even more to even not talk to every single person if possible.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Well, as I say, if it sounds like they are saying exactly what you say on the phone, that your scripts and your systems are airtight, which is so critical, in going through that process. And I love the fact that, you've got these processes and everything designed out. So again, congratulations, to you. What do you feel like is the next evolution for you? Is there another piece that you're going to do to grow to the next step, or you kind of want to keep it here? I know you're hiring people, but what does that look like?
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest people ask me, well, how do you keep the same people on your team? And I try to keep. My processor I've worked with for 12 years. Like I said, my first assistant was been 6 years. So I think that just taking care of them, we respect each other, trusting each other, but also leading by example. I can tell you, they always tell me, Sophia, I just cannot believe you work harder than me. And as just being able to lead by example, right? We tell our kids, you're the example, you have to lead by example for your children. And the same thing in this business. I think if I didn't work as hard, or kind of said, hey, I'm unplugging and do whatever you want. They know if they need me, they can find me. And just being there and showing them how hard work really does pay off. And we all have to be able to support each other as a team so that you can unplug. You need in this business, you can get burned out. So we have to be able to support each other. And, these 2 weeks that they're supporting me, when they get back, I don't mind processing a file, or I don't mind doing whatever I need to do to get the loan done if they're on vacation. So it really, I treat them as equals, and I think it makes a difference.
So I have a question, because you're managing, 2,000 past customers, and I know you do a great job of serving your past clients. I also know you're managing a lot of realtors. And when we talked last, you talked about, hey, I'm this year more than previous years, I'm really being the guide to realtors. So one, how many different realtors do you get business from on a regular basis, or however you measure how many real estate agents you have? How many do you manage and how many do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I would say realtors, as far as numbers that are my core, there's really about 30 to 25 to 30 that I would say are my core. And then obviously have the top 10 that send me the most business. And I was trying to look at some numbers, and I was surprised shouldn't say surprised, but that a lot of it comes from my past clients as well. But the realtors, of course, and that using the past clients, being able to give back the business to that realtor that I originally got it from, it really helps as well. But I would say within that 30 or 25, this past year with COVID, I think that we are a local lender and underwrite and process locally. And during the pandemic, it was very hard for any of their clients or even them to get advice on what they needed to do sometimes for these clients on, they lost their job and how do they, somewhere in the process, how do they sell now? How do they buy? And more than ever, I think people needed advice and really someone that they could say, hey, how do I put this together? Can you please give me this advice? I had customers that would say, my realtor just told me to go to my bank, someone they didn't know. And then, my real estate agent, no, you need to talk to Sofia. She will give you advice. Even if you don't, some of them will say, even if you don't use her for a loan, please call her and she will advise you. And that happens sometimes. They could be doing a loan with somebody else and they'll just call me, say, Sofia, please help me, this client, they need help. So I'll just tell them what to do. But I think it's important to just be there as an advocate for the real estate agent. It was more of I almost felt like it was a mentorship, between all of us to try to keep sane through the time, but also just to help them get through a lot of questions. There was a lot of uncertainty. What can we do? What can we do? And I think it was really important to be there, and people need to know. I think my real estate agents in those core know that they can call me and ask me a question or an answer. And I'd gotten calls from real estate agents I hadn't talked to in 2 years in the pandemic, just because they didn't know who to call. And they just said, Sofia, I need advice. So I think for me, it was a compliment to be there for them as an advisor, but it got me business as well.
Well, I hope everybody took from that. You gotta build a reputation, build a brand as someone that can do more than a transaction. I especially think in this decade going forward, the advisor wins. If your advice matters and you have a brand as an advisor, this could be the best decade you've ever had in the mortgage business. Now you've got to have technology. You need to wrap that with leadership and teamwork, but that is the code. So let's get into a little bit of the advice you give to realtors and also how you use Mortgage Coach. Like, what do realtors know about Mortgage Coach or a total cost analysis? How do you use that as a tool or an educational platform that realtors know about? We'd love to hear your process on that.
Yeah, it was more, especially with the low appraisals. So what's happening is obviously this overbidding, especially in Boston. It was people were going $100,000 above asking. So trying to make the client feel comfortable and giving them their options, a plan B and C. So I'd use the Mortgage Coach, and the realtor would say, please, Sofia, do a Mortgage Coach so we can really make sure they're comfortable going above asking. And if the appraisal comes in low, can they cover the difference? So I'd use the Mortgage Coach, say if the house price was $800,000 and the purchase price and the appraisal came in at $750,000, that they had the $50,000, or how I could restructure the loan, maybe in option 2, how to restructure the loan to show them if the appraisal comes in low, what my max CLTV or loan to value would be for them. So it was really important. Some of them would ask for that just so that we could explain maybe an appraisal coming low, or how if they were selling and buying, maybe that's another example. I would use it to say, okay, if you sold your house this much, you would qualify by maybe not selling your house by carrying this much mortgage. So do a Mortgage Coach to show them what that payment had to be. There's so many ways. I could go on probably a while to figure out how to do.
Let's do this. Let's, for another 10 minutes, talk about leadership, talk about life balance. A question came in from Deborah Bird. She wanted to know whether you had a coach. Do you have a coach?
It's a good question. My coach right now is another branch manager at Mortgage Network. His name's Ben McKillop, he's awesome. I've known him since the Countrywide days. And right now he's my mentor and someone I can go to. And so right now he is my coach.
Okay, question answered. Any questions you have down below? I'm going to ask one more question and then hand it to Todd to, kind of drive this next 10 minutes, and then I'll jump back in. But I would love to know, you said, hey, I use Win by Noon my own way. How do you use the Win by Noon planner? Just give us the Sofia way that you use it.
Yeah, like I said a little bit earlier, I use it to also prioritize, obviously, my day and, what I'm grateful for, the leads I received, of course, just so I know where they're coming from. And I actually separate it in 3 categories, which is new purchases, stuff that is important to me, and I label them, 1, 2, 3, which ones are most important for myself, but also for my team to work on for that day. Any new purchases that need to be submitted, locked, spoken to. And then my second category is pre-quals, who I have to pre-qual for that day, who needs to make an offer by 12 on Monday morning at noon or before noon, if it's in that time frame, and then refinances. So those are the 3 categories I have. And sometimes I'll make notes. I'll put the client's name, and I might put some important note next to it. It's, this one I'm waiting for the final CO, follow up with the, builder. So it's just certain notes that I put for each one that I want my team to stay organized for.
Very cool. Todd, any thoughts on that or any more questions for Sofia?
Well, I mean, I just think on that part of it, the Win by Noon piece, I love it because it proves what I always say. There's just no perfect way. Everyone's going to figure out how to make themselves more productive using it, regardless of how you do. So I think that's awesome. Harrison's asking, are your LOs doing your mortgage coach analysis, or are you doing those?
All of my assistants know how to use the mortgage coach. Yes. So they mostly do it. Actually, I do them as well, but my team will do it.
Yeah, I think that's really a great way to leverage time. So, kind of as we talk through leadership, I mean, as far as, are you guys all working back in the branch now, or are people still working remote?
We're slowly going back to the branch. We are still working remote and going in about two days a week. Our downtown Boston office got remodeled in the meantime. So, but we are back, together around twice a week.
So as far as keeping culture, I mean, anyone who's kept their team as long as you have is doing something right. So what's been really critical for you as a leader to keep culture strong during this past crazy 14 months, 15 months we've had?
I mean, we are on the phone all day together, but even during the pandemic, just trying to stop by and, seeing us face to face when it's an important day. Something's important for all of us, right? A birthday, anniversary, a holiday. So just trying to keep in touch and still getting some of that FaceTime, even if it's from a balcony, and leaving something on their door, I think is important.
I love hearing that. I just know that was a big struggle for so many leaders, is just to figure out how to do that piece. And obviously coming back together will be what's old is new again, right? It'll be difficult as well. I mean, where else have you learned as a leader? I mean, what struggles have you had that you felt like, overcoming that struggles made you better?
In regards to the loan officers or in general?
Either one, whichever one's more exciting to you.
Yeah. I would say the biggest struggle was being away, in the COVID, just not being together and not being able to see everybody face to face. So that was definitely a struggle, and trying to stop by as much as I could. Obviously it was hard for me too with the 3 kids, but I said that was definitely the hardest part for me this year, is not being able to see anybody and trying to keep everybody sane, and talking to them. Are you okay? Almost being like a psychologist rather than a mentor, really, for everybody. So that was hard.
I think that's so critical. So congrats to you on that. So Dave was talking with you about your, couple dozen, 3 dozen real estate agents that you work with. Obviously you're hiring when you're expecting a little bit less production. So what are you focused on right now to grow your realtor production in order to make sure that as refis go away, obviously 60% purchase is awesome. How are you trying to push on that right now with your agents in this market?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the refinances are going away, and even a little bit of a lull, I think, for the purchases right now. I don't know if it's buyer burnout or what it is this summer, the last even couple of weeks. My focus will be on this year, or the rest of this year will be on more video. And if people are still not comfortable meeting, doing more video with our HomeBot integration and doing some more videos with everybody on my team, trying to get everybody comfortable with video. Even myself, I don't do it as much as I should. And then second is the people that I have hired to try to maybe build deeper relationships with some of those 30 people, those 30 agents I have, and almost recalling them, the reintroduction, and maybe somebody that I maybe didn't connect with, maybe they will. So our focus will be on really just getting back to the same people we have and getting deeper with the real estate agents we do know and getting more from them.
And so when you're going to get together with agents, is it going to be more one-on-one, or will you do any realtor events? What will that look like?
I am hosting, I have an event on the calendar for September 1st. It's going to be an outdoor boat, which is going to be great. It's going to be on a boat, so hopefully we can be outdoors. And it's going to be in person. So hopefully it'll be good weather for us to go on this big boat. But yes, I think one-on-one, I think the realtors were willing to meet one-on-one and still keeping in touch and letting them know that you're there and you're there to be an advisor, and they need to know that you're available, and that they can contact us anytime.
All right, so Deborah's got another great question. She wants to know, if you had to change just one thing in your business today that would have the greatest impact, what would that be?
That I would be better at technology. Video. I think video, my video integration needs to be, I wish it was quicker and I could do that a lot better right now.
Love that. By the way, she also asked a question, how are you putting your brand on social media? Or are you putting your brand, are you intentional around what you're doing on social media?
I am. I think it's important to spend the money as a loan officer. I do have my own website. I just hired somebody that is going to do some posting for me. I approve the content at the beginning of the month, and I do post on right now on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn are the three that I have. But posting good content, sometimes it's boring, and I don't like to see boring stuff. So I want it to be something that gives you some advice. And so I have been, I think it's important to absolutely have a presence,
Love that. And I'm current, Deborah manages, I think she manages the Win by Noon social profile, but the Modern Mortgage Summit profile, which I would love to, if you're open, have you as a speaker this year at the Modern Mortgage Summit that we'll be announcing any day now. It's going to be the first week in October, FYI, folks. We've picked about half the speakers. By the end of this week, we'll have picked all the speakers for it. But Deborah and I are creating some content where loan officers are creating fiscal literacy lessons to consumers. So it's social media content, but Mortgage Coach is a prop. It's a teaching tool within the video. Would you be interested in, again, I'll connect you with Deborah and maybe creating a video or two together, since that's on your bucket list. Is that something you'd be open to?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So Deborah, great questions. Love that. Todd, any other questions from a lifestyle or leadership standpoint? But before I transition, I really want to unpack how she's the guide to consumers, how she's the guide to realtors, and break down her advice process. So anything else before I jump into that?
I mean, I just think the last thing, just really another compliment. I mean, I love the fact that you said I lead by example, and that you're jumping in to help everyone else when they go on vacation. So what would your encouragement be to a loan officer who's really struggling with that whole piece of doing what you're doing, right? Like taking the leap, going out of town or out of the country. And obviously you said you're working kind of unplugged this week, but you'll spend the next 2 weeks totally unplugged. So how would you encourage them to take that step and do it, especially coming out of the pandemic?
And obviously making sure that the team that you're leaving behind can handle it, but advising them on what's important priority-wise during that time that you're gone, and not be so overwhelming. so that they understand exactly, what you expect and what is needed during that time. And maybe it's not as important within those 2 weeks. Okay, you don't have to call every single client, but here's the list of people that are really important, and just making it as easy as possible, so that if something pops up, they know who to go to if they can't reach you. So I think the team sometimes they can get nervous. Oh, what if something happens? Just knowing who they can go to, and if they need anybody else, this is who you can call. And I think usually nothing ever happens, but just that what if is nice to have a plan B for them, and then I think they'll feel comfortable. You'll feel comfortable to go away.
So it looks like you have some company in the mortgage business in Greece, Roland. Sorry, Roland.
Nice.
Roland Cochran, who's a coach in the industry, is in Greece right now. He said he's coming back in August to attend the Amplify Live event. By the way, guys, I think it's the third week in August. Renee Rodriguez is putting on Amplify Live. I think he's getting close to selling it out. It's sold out at, I think, 500, and I know he's north of 300 and getting close to 400. So it's going to be sold out. I am attending that event. It looks like Roland is attending that event too. So guys, check it out. We'll put a link down below. There is a mortgage coach discount code. I think it's no, I don't know what it is, but we'll make sure that we put a link with the mortgage coach discount code down below. So I wonder, there's got to be some other mortgage coaches in Greece right now. What are your thoughts on that, Sophia?
There's got to be different islands.
Yeah, right.
It was tough. I'll tell you, this year was hard travel. You needed so many forms to get here.
Really?
It was not easy. Yeah, it was not easy to travel.
So well,
I won't be surprised.
Let's get into your advice process. So you've built this brand where realtors know you're an advisor. Your 2,000 past clients know that you're an advisor. They've got your advice experience. You've created over 2,500 TCAs. Are all those folks in HomeBot, first of all? So do you make sure that every past client where you're managing their mortgage and their liabilities, they're in HomeBot and they've received a mortgage coach? Is that right?
Yeah. So what I believe we're doing with HomeBot is I think we started off with 500 at the beginning to really launch it. And then whoever opted out, we can move to the next. So I think we're still in the first 500 category, because we just integrated HomeBot as well. So we're in the first 500. It'll get to the next 500 and then continue on from there. But the customers that have opted into the HomeBot have loved it. They update their values on their home, their loan amounts. So it's great to see those, and it really prompts people to maybe think about their situation. So it's been a great kind of tool for them to reach out first, even sometimes before I even get to them.
Yeah, well, I look at HomeBot as just a great way to manage the equity in your home. So for a family to have this portal that's managing their equity, that integrates the mortgage. And remember, everybody, if you have HomeBot, we've got a beautiful mortgage coach integration. There's no extra cost for it. If you have both platforms and you're a mutual customer of us and HomeBot, we'll put a link down below on how to turn it on. Literally takes less than a minute to turn on the mortgage coach HomeBot integration. If you haven't done that, do it. Also, if you're not on HomeBot, we highly recommend it. Todd will put a link down below. Win by Noon has I think waives the $200 setup fee. So Todd will put a link down that below. So let's go through the process. So you've got a team. What percentage of the TCAs in the mortgage coach conversations you having pre-application? So they haven't applied and you're having a mortgage coach conversation versus, hey, they've applied and now you're having the mortgage coach. And let's just start with a purchase, a TBD. What's your advice flow on a TBD? Doesn't have a property yet.
Yeah, for a TBD, especially on that pre-qual, it's more of an advice tool and what programs they qualify for, depending on their credit score. And maybe it's, let's say, a couple where one has a lower credit score than the other, and I've pre-qualified them with doing a loan with both of them, maybe in one of them. So option number one might say, with both of you, here's what your max qualification would be. So on the mortgage coach pre-finding a home, it's more about different programs they qualify for, and maybe different options and advice that I give them. Maybe an ARM, just showing them all of their options. And then they see it on paper, what the payment looks like. And I always say, you want to see a mortgage coach so you can see what your total costs are going to be for a loan, the cash to close where it says. That includes the closing costs, because so many people forget about the closing costs, and the different programs and what that payment is. So I say, once you're comfortable with the payment, then you can make an offer on something. And I always tell them in my letter once they receive.
So Todd, did you lose Sophia also?
She's frozen in time for a moment, so we'll have to see when her internet picks back up. It's been really good. I was surprised how good it's been. You know, it's funny you were talking about it. The other person I've seen who's in our world who's been in Greece recently was Ryan Serhant, was over there with his wife and daughter. So it'd be fun. In fact, we should probably let people know in a month, actually 3 weeks, we're going to have Ryan Serhant on the Friday interview, which is going to be awesome. Mark your calendars, August 13th, while we wait for Sophia to get back on.
So cool. So heads up, August 13th, guys. Actually, Todd, we should put a post together and announce that so people get that on their calendars. So hopefully we'll get Sophia back. So while we're waiting for her, I've got a few ideas to unpack from what she shared. Remember, guys, keep the questions coming. I'm sure Sophia will be back. But what are some of your things that, you know, just think, Coach Todd, what have you learned from this, and what notes do you hope people have taken from this so far?
You know, I kind of divided up into a couple of categories, right? One is systems and process. You know, one is leadership and culture, because I think it's really critical, regardless of what seat you're in. You know, a lot of times when if you're an individual loan officer, you're thinking, well, that doesn't apply to me. I don't have a team. But, you know, you do have a team. You've got other coworkers. You've got a processor. You've got other folks who are assisting you in the transaction. So I just love the fact that she made time during such a crazy time to make sure that she, you know, kept close and celebrated the important things with those folks, anniversaries, birthdays. And so I would just think about that just as a coworker, as an individual LO, or as a leader. You know, are you really celebrating those around you? I think that that's really important. And then really when it comes to the systems and processes, do you have a system that you could unplug for even a day and go away, versus let alone go to another country and be unplugged for 2 weeks? And I think, you know, there's a huge difference on that. You know, one of the first times that I was interviewed on stage at Salesmaster was around the fact that the previous 2 years I had taken over 50 days of vacation without email or a cell phone. And, you know, building a team like that, you know, there's nothing better than that, right? I had young kids at the time like Sophia does, and to be able to go away and unplug, you know, there's nothing worse. I was talking to a loan officer yesterday and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going away and to be no difference. My realtors aren't even know I'm gone. And I'm thinking, well, that's unfortunate. If your realtors don't know you're gone, that means your family doesn't realize you're there on vacation, you know, with them. And so I would just say, well, what is it, you know, even if you're just one LO now, or even if you're an LO and assistant, like, what do I need to build? What does that look like? What is my vision? What are those systems and processes I can build now so that I can get to that point down the road? Because there's just nothing better. We all need it. You've all worked so hard this last 14 months. There's just nothing better than a little self-care and truly, truly unplugging. Oops, you're muted, Dave.
So Sophia is working to get back. Her and I are texting back and forth, guys. So stay tuned. She will be back. Todd, why don't you make sure we tell everybody about the TCA a day challenge that's going on? You know, Jeremy Forcier shared on Friday how he's rolling it out to his region of, I think, 52 loan officers. Why don't you tell everybody what he's doing while I do some texting with Sophia to get her back in here?
Perfect. So, you know, if you missed it, the TCA day, a challenge, there's two different things you can get. Sorry, I'm on my virtual, so it's going to be hard to unplug it and have you guys all see it, but this thing goes up huge. So it's like covers up my head. If I can make it actually, well, it's not going to work, but that's okay. It folds out. So there's two versions. There's a freemium version. You can just go to the file section of our Facebook group. And then you can actually download a 4-week version to track your TCAs, right? The whole goal is just do a TCA a day. And there's also this fancy version, which Robert threw a link into Zoom and into Facebook on. It's only $5 or 5 for $20. And we've now had Jeremy's buying 200. We've had LOs buy 50 to 100. And Jeremy's going to take it out and use it not only with his team, right? He launched his TCA a day challenge where he's challenged his team to do 1 TCA a day, really because he knows it's going to be good for them, right? It's good for the client. It's good for the loan officer. And of course, he's rewarding it with a prize for first place and a raffle for those who are just participate, they'll also get a chance to win that same prize, which is super cool. And then he's also buying, 100, almost 150 of them are going to be for his real estate agent. So he's going to go after him with a CMA a day. And so I heard the story from a great friend of mine, Aaron Johnson, who's a Win by Noon guy. And he told the story of this real estate agent who is out of the East Coast somewhere. But Dave and I are going to try to get him on here. But he essentially did a CMA a day. And by doing a CMA a day, he got enough listing appointments. There was $11 million worth of listings he got. He closed over $9 million of it by staying focused on it. And he didn't actually even talk to the people. He did the CMA. So those who don't know, it's a comparative market analysis. And then he did a video when he sent it to the client. Reminds me a lot of a TCA. And that's when I had that great light bulb idea of, hey, let's do a TCA a day. And then so when you buy this fold out version of it, the flip side of it, from it being CMA or TCA days, the other side of it is the CMA a day challenge. So when you buy it, you get both sides, right? TCA one side, CMA the other side. So you can use one for you, and then you can buy the 5-pack or more, and then get your real estate agents going on it. But if you can get them excited at a time where, you just heard Sophia say, she said, hey, things have kind of slowed down in her purchase market, right? My team operates in the Phoenix market. It's kind of slowed down a little bit from a pre-approval and from that perspective. And granted, the real estate agents who are still showing 20 properties to a client to get them under contract, they don't think it's any slower. But if you're slower, it's just a great way for you to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability. And then B, it's also a great way for you to help your real estate agents improve their business. Because guess what? When you do that, help them improve their business, guess whose business improves as well? Yours, right? And so just keep in mind that it's just a great way to motivate yourself. There's a free version of it. There's a cooler version you can hang on your wall, and it's cheap. So that's kind of my update on that, Dave.
So if you could do a little dance now.
I'll do a dance.
I'm texting back and forth with
All
her.
right.
Trying to
I'll
get her
just
another
keep
link.
talking for a minute. So
I think it has something to do with Greece. So let's give it a few more minutes. And then
I hope Greece's internet's not down. That would be bad. A ransomware attack. So Brendan was asking if the Serhant call will be something geared towards mortgage pros or will be geared towards real estate agents. It's going to be geared towards both, right? Those of you who saw what Ryan's presentations were like during the Modern Real Estate Summit, it is absolutely going to, my guess is be really similar to that. Our whole goal will be to have it be something that's valuable to you as a loan officer, and something that you can share either live together with your real estate agents or share after we get done with that. We get done with that call. Ryan, for those of you who don't know him, he's got his own TV show on Bravo TV. And he's kind of one of these guys that, at first you'll see him like he's the guy that everyone loves to hate, but not really. He's just a super positive, great human. And his story is super impressive. Dave and I both read his book on a recommendation from Dan Keller. And I would say this, he was our #1 rated speaker there, I think for a lot of reasons. He gave really good advice. In fact, I just saw, he was just in Greece, like I said, with Sofia, but then I saw he must be back because he just put for sale a $159 million penthouse in New York. So I think it's going to be maybe the most expensive New York penthouse ever. Who knows? Either way, that's freaking a lot of money. I don't know how somebody does that. And so any suggestions that you guys have for that would be fabulous. I think it'll be good. And so I guess.
Hey, Sophia, I just brought you in. Can you turn on your camera? And I think we
There we go.
Boom,
Finally.
guys.
Yes.
Figured it out.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Like the internet just dropped. Well,
No worries.
typical.
Well, you're back, guys. And Todd, you did a really nice job of dancing.
I didn't get to dance
value.
too much, but next time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Todd. Thanks.
So guys, we got another 17 minutes. We're going to break down her advice experience. I think you shared the TBD. You're giving down payment options, loan options, probably interest rate options. And let's say, and you did mention that you're doing a lot of appraisal gap TCAs. I know you sent me some TCAs beforehand. Is there one that kind of speaks to that strategy that I should show on my screen?
I sent you two. I think one was a refi and one was a purchase. Those were not an appraisal one that I could have sent you, but the appraisal one I think was just key. It was really useful to use an appraisal one. So I was showing customers how, if they went above asking, how they could make up the difference.
Let's pull it up because I've got two purchase. Actually, you sent me two purchase, one refi. So one has 4 programs and one has 3 programs. One's down payment with points, no points.
Yeah, so this one was a purchase with just showing them different options with interest rates now. We had a couple of jumbo and conforming investors that it was nice to just show them points depending how long they were going to live in the property. It was a good way to show them, okay, is it worth to pay points or not? You know, you have a lot of competitors who are offering points to customers. And then I was, as an advisor, explaining to them, okay, it's depending how long you're going to live in the property, is it really worth to pay the points? So showing them the time of the 60 months and then the 15 years, how much they'd be saving over time. And I remember with this customer, it was actually not that great for him to pay the points. It was better to just take 2.875, pay no points, and because he knew he was going to live in the property more than the 6 years. So it was a great way of showing them how my offer was still better than the competitor with rates. So it was more of a competition thing, and being able to use Mortgage Coach to say, yes, that other customer is offering you, a lower rate, but they're charging you points. I'm offering you this rate with no points, and why it's better.
Yeah. And so guys, just simple education around that. And I think the big takeaway is cost over time. If you want to be an advisor, you have to show different programs over time and time that matters to the client. So showing 60 months and 15 years, that is advice. If you're showing rate, payment, cash to close, that is not advice. Also, great job to your team. It looks like you guys use the integration with experience.com. Is this something that ever comes up? Do you use this and mention this sometimes when you have rate shoppers, or is there any scripting you have around how you call this out?
Yeah, I do. I think that it's good for people to see your reviews. I tell people to also go to my website that has my reviews, but it is a talking point on the Mortgage Coach because they kind of see it. So this is definitely a talking point. If you'd like to see more reviews, you can also go to my website, but they love it. And one of my financial advisors pointed that out the other day. They want me to do the Mortgage Coach for every one of their clients that I send them, but then was nice to kind of just validate as, if they have one of their clients they're trying to refer to me, once they see the Mortgage Coach, they also see my review, so they get to know me a little bit through the reviews. If one of their customers doesn't know me.
And do you call it a Mortgage Coach? Is that the term? Like when you're telling a consumer that I'm going to send you blank, what do you say you're sending? What do you call it? And
I call it a total cost analysis.
Okay, so the phrase with the consumer, give us a minute of what that script sounds like, so that when they get the link, they're like, oh, I'm excited, I'm going to click on it. How do you, frame it for a minute, how you would position it with the consumer?
Yeah, and obviously depending on their situation, I formalize it, but the videos are great, especially if you're sending a lot of them. The videos have helped, which again, I want to do more of, but being able to integrate on the Mortgage Coach, explaining what you were trying to show them, that really helps so that you don't have to do the phone call after and explain it. But for a script, I say, please look at these 4 options that I've sent you. I've sent you this option number 1 and explain it. Option number 2. I love the new comment bars that you can put underneath where you can actually type some comments that shows up. If you look at the TCA, it shows up you can make some comments now, which is really nice. But I would say to them, this is really important for you to see what your cash to close looks like. If you're going to be purchasing a home, especially for those first-time home buyers, how much cash you need to budget for, and also what the monthly payment looks like. If you're looking at a condo, I might put in different condo fees. We could vary a condo fee between $150 a month in Boston, and you might find some condo associations that are $500. So making sure that they know, especially if a buyer is tight on their debt to income ratio, I show them where they need to be with their monthly payment, because the total cost analysis is the total payment and how much cash they'll need to purchase this home for their family. So I think that's what I try to tell them. This will really help you make an informed decision and feel comfortable for you to make an offer. That's what I always advise them is you need to feel comfortable to be able to make that offer.
Love that. Well, let's do real quick before we go back to Q&A. And it does look like the audience has brought in some more questions. Let's do this refi TCA. You gave a refi TCA. So first of all, do you do annual reviews where you're proactively connecting with consumers and reviewing their mortgage and using Mortgage Coach? Is that a thing that you do?
Yes, yeah. Part of our CRM is Surefire. There is an annual review, which will pop up for me weekly. So I know which people are on their annual. So I will do that once a week and try to touch base with people that, I think it's worth talking to. Sometimes if I, know that, oh, I just spoke to them and it wasn't worth it, of course I don't. But yeah, it's kind of nice to have it on a weekly basis on know who's meeting their annual reviews for that week.
Cool. And so how and when for refis are you using Mortgage Coach? And just give us a little color on what we're looking at here on the screen.
Yeah, so this one I was showing them, I did their previous loan, so it shows their what their loan currently looks like with the updated loan amount, what interest rate they're paying, and then I show them what the new amount. In this case, we were hoping their appraisal was a little bit higher. I try to be realistic, but show them different options so they could see if the value comes in at 700,000, what the loan would look like if it came in at 730 and then 750. And then if you look at the payment breakdown, they were eliminating some PMI in one of the options, which helped them save a lot more money. So they were saving a ton of money in whichever option, so it was worth it. But really to show them if the appraisal came in higher, or I get an appraisal waiver because they don't know that until I pull their credit. So this is a good way to kind of start the conversation with refis and not have to make it live. So I love that I can kind of assume some things before I have to meet compliance requirements as well.
Yeah. What about, like, I see that you showed the payment difference, which everybody does that. Like, that's not advice. But then you showed the savings over 5 years. That is advice. You showed the difference in interest cost over 15 years. That is advice. Do you ever say, hey, like, you're saving $400 a month. What if you took that $400 and you prepaid your mortgage? How much interest would you save? And how many years faster would you pay off your mortgage? Do you ever do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually have a separate amortization schedule that I will send them as well, and just say how much extra of that extra money do you think you would put towards your principal? And I'll kind of show them that chart as well. Sometimes if it's one of my financial advisors, maybe I say, talk to your advisor, maybe you could put another 200 somewhere else into some other platform. So definitely just trying to integrate everything and being their advisor and advise them to talk to the right people. Maybe they think of something else they never thought about before, which is value.
Love it. So guys, take a screenshot of this if you do not have this. These are the 3 essentials to making smart mortgage decisions. And really, this is the definition of mortgage advice. You have to give a family options or you're not giving advice. You have to look at those options over time that's relevant to their client, 3 years, 5 years, 15 years, or it's not advice. And you always need to look for strategies to achieve their goals. A lot of people, the number one goal is paying off their house faster. So put in a strategy to do that. Some people, it's like, oh, I want to, buy a new home, move up, sell my old home, take some of the equity and put it in an interest-bearing account, strategies to build wealth faster, to pay off their house faster. If you're not doing that, it's not advice. And here's really netting it out, guys. If you're not doing these things, you're quoting rates like it's 2007. Technology has changed radically since 2007. But if you're giving a family a fee worksheet, guys, that's what we were doing in the 80s. Rate, payment, cash to close. It really is the same thing that you did in the 80s. So I would just recommend, if you're listening to this interview, you want to be an advisor, you want to have a reputation with agents as you're an advisor, HomeBot, Mortgage Coach, Win by Noon, so that you're driving all these activities. Highly recommend that. Todd, any questions you have or any questions come up from our audience? You're on mute, Todd.
Dang it. All right. That's what I get for multitasking here. Lots of, just great advice. I mean, I just love the fact of, your TCAs just look good. I mean, as someone who's been a mortgage coach for 21 years, however long was in the mortgage business, just seeing how you set it up is really awesome. And so, I think that's the big takeaway that I have as people are looking at it is making sure you're doing it. What percentage, you said you're not really big on video. What percentage of TCAs are you putting video us on right now?
Right now, it's like 25%. That needs to go to 80. at
Or
least.
100.
So, or 100. It really should be on each one. I still get some calls after that I have to explain it, and I think the video will just eliminate that. So that is one thing I'm definitely going to do.
Yeah, I think that's really critical. For me, it really helped overcome that when you send it to one spouse and then they try to explain it to the other spouse after you've explained it to them, just to have that video to play over and over again, it just continues to sell itself. And that's just one more time saver. So that I would encourage everyone here to consider that. I'm just trying to read through these other questions.
So while Todd's reading those other questions, guys, we're going to invite Sofia to be a speaker at the Modern Mortgage Summit, which will be the first Wednesday in October. If you have a topic you'd like her to cover, like a headline, like I would love to know how blank. And remember, guys, the content in the presentations, most of them are under 5 minutes. So they're 5-minute how-tos, they're 5-minute scripts. Sofia, I want you to be thinking about, I'll send an email later today inviting you and looping in the Modern Mortgage, event team, so they can put you on the schedule and the roster. But be thinking about what do you want to teach? What's a 5-minute how-to, a 5-minute script, 5-minute fiscal literacy message, which, by the way, that might be something that you do with Deborah, is like the power of homeownership. Do you use the rent versus own very often? Is that
I do. Yeah.
That might be interesting to, literally create a piece of content with how to create passion and urgency for renters to own a home. And you net it out in 5 minutes. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. So audience, if you've got a presentation you want at the Modern Mortgage Summit from Sofia, let us know down below. So Sofia, let's close out with, there's a lot of new loan officers coming into the business, and you went from banking into mortgage, and then you relocated and reinvented yourself. You mentioned you just hired someone from a bank, but if there was a brand new loan officer, like either they're, let's just say, first year in the mortgage business, what advice do you have for first month, first year new loan officers?
First month, I would absolutely learn every product that you offer. Learning product alone, I think, gives you, that's, I think, the holdback of the confidence level to a new loan officer is, can I sell? What do I sell? Learning the product, especially being new and understanding what product you have at whatever mortgage company you work for, what you can offer, and making sure you know all that so that you have the knowledge. So knowledge, I think, is power. So making sure that you understand what you can sell, right? And then second, I would say you've got to learn Mortgage Coach. That's the one thing I teach them. It gives you the confidence that as a new loan officer, okay, how do I maybe speak to a client? It really is a nice warm lead and a talking tool to explain things. It makes you look as you know what you're talking about, and showing them the Mortgage Coach. So I would say learn Mortgage Coach. After the first couple months, you need to learn that. So product first, Mortgage Coach second, and then understanding, maybe learning some scripts and using the tools and integrating all the tools we talked about, like the Win by Noon, any technology to get you going and get your set up to succeed.
So guys, I want you to think about that. The product to the consumer is a monthly payment that gives them a house, and there's a cost to get it, and that is the transaction. So you got to know that. But Mortgage Coach is the way that you educate it to the customer. It's the way that you deliver it. It's the way that you differentiate yourself from average LOs. Still 90% of loan officers are delivering fee worksheets. And so I think that's really good advice. And it really is just, know your product, know how to present it. And if you have not done that, there are a lot of loan officers that have been in the business for 1 year and they're doing it 20 times. It's like repeating the first year 20 times. So great advice. Todd, any closing thoughts or questions you want to ask to wrap it up?
I think my closing thoughts are really to echo what I'm seeing a lot of people say. Thanks for spending time from your vacation with us and sharing. Congratulations on your success and building what you did. It's truly inspirational. And I feel like the advice that you've given today will power many people to build a better business and be able to hopefully replicate what you're doing now and be off next year, enjoying their time unplugged away with family, doing what they've done. So appreciate your support of Win by Noon and Mortgage Coach in our community, and keep on rocking it.
Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without my team.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to close out, guys. So I had reached out to Sophia a few months ago saying, hey, let's get you back on. It's been a year. And she's like, you know what? I think that, the way I'm evolving my team, the way I'm scaling it, I want to do it in that first week I'm on vacation, because she was very intentional that the first week would be a workation. She had, she wanted to get her family there. She wanted to spend 3 whole weeks for the kids to have all that. But she's like, part of her plan was, I'm going to work and vacation for the first week, and then I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to have 2 disconnected weeks. So that's intentionality. That's lifestyle. Sophia, you are an inspiration, great leader in the mortgage coach community. Thank you for your time. And I can't wait to hear how your vacation goes when you get back.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.
Thank you.
See you on Friday.
The sunset. There's a sunset.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nothing better than a Greek sunset. I can attest to that.
All right, guys, this is a wrap. If you
Have
got
a good
value,
day. Thank you.
take care. See you later. Give us a like. Share this with your mortgage friends. Take care, everybody.